Welcome to the news desk. It's lunchtime on day 2. Rich Hagan alongside Pro Tourist and Brian David Marshall, my co-anchor Maria Bartholdi, and Pro Tour champion for 2010, Mr. Simon Gertzen, providing the analysis of our morning here at Pro Tour Ixalan. Now, we had a feature pod this morning. 8 players came in. They were the top table, of course, and you get a look at them on your screen. Sam Elin-Felled, in his first foray at the top tables, course Hall of Famer Paolo Dama Rosa, Poland's Piatigorsky, Brad Maxwell, again a first-timer, Chun, semi-finalist last time around, 2010 world champion Guillaume Matignon, Shih-Wan of China, and Johan, the second Chinese player at this most rarefied of atmospheres at the top table. So we're going to work our way around. We're going to start with Sam Elin-Felled, and BDM, off we go. It's a nice start. It's a raging sword tooth. Pick 1. Guess what he gets? Pick 2. It's another raging sword tooth, thank you very much. And then third pick, well, here's a River Herald's Boon. So what kind of deck is that going to lead to?
Well, you know, River Herald's Boon is a huge signal. It is very much only a Merfolk card. I mean, obviously you can play it in a non-Merfolk deck, but you would be very, very disappointed. And I would expect that maybe he's going to switch into Merfolk here, give up on the green-red dinosaurs, and he's taking that as a signal that green-blue cards are going to start flowing for him at this table.
All right, let's see how his final deck ended up.
Well, I was wrong.
Yep. So not only just not the red-green, not the blue-green, one is, oh, he's got 3 Legion Conquistadors, I guess that's something, a couple of Sky March Blood Letters, 3 Mark of the Vampire. I thought Mark of the Vampire, Simon, was basically meant to go with lots of those empty 1-drop slots.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Of course, he does have creatures to put it on, but it's not really, doesn't look like a deck that has really come together. Look at the 2-drops. That's not the 2-drops you're looking for in a Vampire deck.
Although Sky March Bloodletter into Mark of the Vampire is a pretty nice way to win a game.
But that's probably the best he can do, right?
Yeah, that is the best he can do. He does have 2 Bloodletters. He has the 3 Conquistadors. Yeah, this is not a deck you're super happy with, but you know you're hoping for that sort of toggle between a 2-1, 1-2 with something like this.
Yeah, the toggle came down on the wrong side. He ends up 1 and 2. So Sam Elin-Felled 1 and 2 with a starting out red green, black-white deck. All right, Maria, on we go. Who's next?
All right, Paolo, Vitor, Dama, Rosa, our last Pro Tour champion, starts things off in a big way with the Regisaur Alpha. We watched this deck, Simon. Is that it's just good enough, even though it's 2 colors to first pick?
Exactly. We are talking a lot about consistency, but power level is a thing, and this card is just so good that you have to take it.
Another high power level card here is pick 2 in an unfriendly fire, and pick 3, we can move ahead and take a look at what he took there. Nest Robber. This kind of surprised you a little bit, Simon.
It did surprise me. I think it is important to prioritize 2-drops, but I don't think Nest Robber is particularly good. I would have taken another card here. Ixalan's Keeper is an option. You can pick Unfriendly Fire if you're really careful about your curve later on. Ultimately, the Nest Robbers, I will have to talk to Paolo about.
All right, let's take a look at Paolo's final deck. Red, green, dinosaurs, pretty nice top end there, and Charging Monster Sword, Raging Sword Tooth, Regisaur Alpha. How did he end up? 2 and 1.
That seems like really nice deck to me, Simon. What am I missing? Is it?
I thought it was amazing. I thought it was really absurdly good. But if you look, the power level is really in the 4 and 5 drops.
Sure.
And not so much in the early drops. I don't want to be playing 2 dual shots.
I was going to ask you about that, Simon. How often do you play a dual shot, much less dual shots?
I want them to be in the sideboard. I want to have them, or at least one of them, but I usually don't main deck them. Now, if you have a couple of enraged creatures,
which he does,
then they do become a lot better. For example, you have Ravenous Daggertooth, Ranging Raptors, Ripjaw Raptors. So I think in this case it's fine to include them, but you are kind of gambling. What do you play against?
Do you think they're also a nod to the 2 Vance's Blasting Cannons? Because that card is very, very difficult to transform in a red-green dinosaur deck that, you know, you're flipping cards,
That's a good point.
at the beginning of your upkeep, and it's like, oh, it's a 5-drop.
No, absolutely.
It's really hard to get 3 spells in 1 turn.
In fact, if you have 2 Vance's Blasting Cannons, you want your curve to be even lower than it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, let's move on. Piatigorsky is up next. Sanctum Seeker, thank you very much. That's a good starting point. Then it's a Merfolk Branch Caller, pick number 2 for him.
Interesting. So he's trying the new, he's like, Merfolk are great, Vampires are great. Let's Reese's Peanut Butters Cup this thing up together.
It's called
here and go.
Vampfolk.
Yeah, I like this.
Black Green Explorer is a thing, if you want.
All right, let's
I
look at
don't
his
want.
third pick. Dark Nourishment is pick 3. So let's see how he ends up. Does he end up black-green? Let's take a look. No. He turns away from that and goes pretty straightforwardly into black-white vampires. Double Call to the Feast at the uncommon slot. 2 Dark Nourishment there, 2 Anointed Deacon. Simon, Anointed Deacon, a super important card.
Yes, you can see. You can look at the 5 drops. You see 2 Anointed Deacon and Bishop of the Bloodstained, together with his first pick, Sanctum Seeker. All these cards build upon having this amount of vampires at your disposal, and Call to the Feast kind of puts it all together.
The thing that is I find a little troubling as far as vampire deck goes, you don't have a lot of vampires before turn 4 when you start making tokens.
That's true.
There's no bishops. There's no, well, he has the one Vicious
No
Conquistador.
Queen's Commission.
Yeah, but nothing. Yeah, no Queen's Commission. So this is a little slow to start. This is not what I would think of as a 3-0 vampire deck.
It was not a 3-0.
Despite Sanctum Seeker, which is
Right.
a 3-0 vampire deck all by itself.
The best card.
Yeah, well, maybe that's what won him his 1 match, because he did win 1 match. Piatigorsky 1 and 2. So now we come round, Maria, to Brad Maxwell.
So this is Brad Maxwell, first Pro Tour here, kicking things off with a Wanted Scoundrels. Why do you think it went in that direction, Simon?
It's a 2-drop. 2-drops are really good in this format, and this one is 4/3. I love this card.
This card seemed really underwhelming when you first looked at the spoiler. That threat of giving your opponent 2 treasure was, I think, sort of pushed it back in people's initial pick orders. But it's so hard to kill.
Are you happy to pick this first?
Very happy. Yes.
Oh, okay.
It has insane synergy with Pirate's Cutlass, and there are not as many 3-power creatures as in other formats.
All right, let's take a look here at his second pickup, Kitesail Freebooter, another great pickup if your first card is black.
Yeah, it is a nice card to trigger raid. I'm not the biggest fan of it in Limited. It's a bit overrated, I think.
All right, let's take a look at his third pick here, keeping things on theme, Mark of the Vampire.
Yeah, it looks like he just wants to solidify himself in black, which is dangerous if somebody to your right is also picking black cards.
And Mark of the Vampire being the only black card in this pack,
Not a
third
good
pick,
sign.
is not a good sign that you're the only black player in that direction.
All right, let's take a look at how his deck ended up. Blue-black Pirates. Unfortunately, no Cutlass to be seen anywhere here, but a glut of things going on at the 2-drop slot, which is kind of what you want. 1 contract killing overall. Simon, what do you think of what he put together here?
I prefer my blue black decks to be less aggressive and to be more late game oriented, or you really need the Pirate's Cutlass to make up for the lack of power in your creature base.
Yeah, I can tell you that this did not go well. This was, the Pirates did not score highly. It was the 0-3 at the table.
Which somebody has to go 0-3.
Right. At least 1 on day 2. So Brad Maxwell 0-3. Let's go to Yan Wing Chun. Now you've seen a lot of his draft already. So Charging Monstrosaur, a reminder, that's where he kicked off. On we go. Unfriendly Fire was pick number 2. And then he gets a Deep Root Warrior, and that becomes this deck for you. Give it the whole sense of the deck overall. Colossal Dreadmaw, Colossal Dreadmaw, Colossal Dreadmaw. Hooray.
Yeah, this deck was really interesting because there was just pick after pick after pick where all Yan wanted to see was a 2-drop. And that's not to say his deck was just about winning with 2-drops, but his deck needed to buy time to get to those Colossal Dreadmaws, to get, that Thrasher Raptors to be able to do something. And, Simon and I were actually talking about the draft, and, this was a deck maybe you wanted to see some Nest Robbers in, right?
Absolutely. The 2-drop slot is a disaster, and Pillar of Origin, if you have to play that, that's... Look at the image here. The 3 has how many cards? That's 12? That should not happen.
But this is the most appropriate home for a Pillar of Origins I've seen in this format. I mean, once you
accelerate into the 1/4-drop?
Well, to accelerate into the 5-drops and the 6-drops.
Absolutely, yes.
Simon Gertzen, ladies and gentlemen, telling it like it is. The 2-drop's a disaster. The 1/4-drop, yeah. You don't sugarcoat anything, do you?
I was fully expecting PV's deck to be just much better than this one.
Right.
So,
but it turns out PV was 2-1 and Yan Wing Chun also 2-1. Well, we haven't found our 3-0 yet, and there's only 3 players left. Maria, who's next?
All right, let's take a look at Guillaume Matignon's Pack 1, Pick 1. We walked through this deck a little bit earlier. First picks a 1 with the Wind over a Ripjaw Raptor. What do you think about that?
That goes very much against my school of thought when it comes to drafting. I think this is a player forcing a strategy.
Ripjaw Raptor is a lot of people's like top rare in the set.
He said, you know what, it's just too narrow. I love Merfolk, and if I pick Ripjaw Raptor, guess what? It goes in one deck.
And to follow up on that, 1 with the Wind, not people's top common.
How is 1 with the Wind not narrow? Like,
I don't know.
It goes on any creature, any card in history that has power and toughness. You can put it on.
It's
How
even good on
wide do
creatures
you want it to
without
be?
power.
It's in the air. Air is infinite, Simon. Come on now.
if I see this pack, I'm thinking Ripjaw Raptor.
It seems like an easy Ripjaw Raptor.
And there is, if you don't like green for some reason, there's Call to the Feast, there's Pyre's Interdiction.
I also like Telenali's Knight as
I
just
like a lot of
premium
cards.
2-drop.
I'm just very
I
surprised.
was surprised.
about
I'm
this
not
card.
questioning it, but I'm surprised.
I think I can solve this for you quite genuinely. This is not, let's remember, you don't draft 50 times at the Pro Tour, you draft twice. Guillaume Matignon does not play a huge amount of Magic. He's not at every Grand Prix. He's not
known
spending
for
all this time.
Constructed.
He's known for Constructed. And he went, you know what? Maybe I can draft blue-green Merfolk twice, which everyone knows if you get the great Merfolk deck, you're going to do really well. If I can get a great Merfolk deck once and a solid Merfolk deck the second time, that's 4-2 or 5-1 in draft. Thank you so much. 75 cards, here we come.
And you know what? A lot of players have told me that they are willing to take 1 with the Wind extremely highly in a Merfolk deck and just get into that lane early and go.
Absolutely. But, you know, when you see one of the top rares, like, it doesn't even have to go in a dinosaur deck.
No.
It's just
It
so
goes in
huge.
any green deck and it's
Yeah.
going to be great. But the thing is,
I would play it in my Merfolk deck.
when Guillaume sat down for the table, he was not evenly distributed among archetypes. He wasn't 1/8 to be in red-green dinosaurs. He was almost 100% to be in blue-green Merfolk.
Yep.
Because that's what he prepared for, that's what he wanted to be. And then that's the pick that was best for him in that spot.
This show was brought to you by 1 with the Wind. And now we're going to continue with our scheduled programming as we look at what else Guillaume Matignon.
All right, well, he followed it up with the card you exactly want to follow it up with, which is Jade Guardian. Taking a look there, let's move ahead to pick 3, Depth of Desire, which he wasn't very happy about. He wasn't super excited to play that, but let's take a look at his full deck. This is your 3-0 deck from this pod. Shapers of Nature managed to pick that up, 2 Jade Guardians, and that single 1 with the Wind and 2 Windstriders at 5. How do you like this Merfolk deck?
It doesn't actually look broken to me. You have 2 Jade Guardians and only the first pick 1 with the Wind. So if you look at the 3-drops, some of these cards I'm not super happy about. I'm impressed that this is a 3-0 deck for Matignon.
Maria, you did a draft walkthrough with Guillaume about this. I thought it was very interesting what he did with the opts. You know, because he was talking about his struggle for 2-drops in this deck also, and the Deep-Root Champion is one that kind of was in there by necessity. It's not a card he loves, and he's like, okay, well, once I have the Deep-Root Champion in there, then maybe I just want that little bit of added velocity from the opts that also interact really well and inexpensively with the champion.
All right, now that was the blue-green 3-0, but next door, let's take a look. Pirate's Cutlass, fine. Yep, nice start for Shih-Wan. On we go. It's Ripjaw Raptor, great stuff. And then pick 3, it's Water Trap Weaver. So where does he head from here? Let's take a look at his whole deck.
Oh boy.
BDM, that looks suspiciously like the same colors we just looked at.
Absolutely, and you know, it's funny, after that Jade Guardian pick, we saw where, after the Water Trap Weaver pick, we saw that Guillaume also passed another Merfolk in the next pack where he passed Tempest Caller. And so, you know, Shih-Wan probably is looking at these signals over the first couple of picks of the draft and going, okay, you know, he's like, I'm going to take a Pirate's Cutlass, I'm going to be open. Oh, I'm going to take a Ripjaw Raptor that goes in any green deck, and then gets card that make him say, oh, well, maybe I'm the Merfolk. You know, look around, who's the Merfolk drafter? This guy.
Is that how it works? If you look around and you don't know who the fish is, it's you. Okay, fair
Usually,
enough.
yeah.
All right.
So, and this deck actually doesn't look bad to me.
No, now, so arguably, Simon, we know that Matignon was 3-0. This deck was 1 and 2. Could you imagine those 2 decks swapping quite plausibly?
No, I think this deck is significantly weaker.
Okay.
It is almost like Guillaume played a team draft where he said, I'm going to pass this amazing green rare, and then I'm going to second pick Jade Guardian. So if you're to the left of somebody that's drafting the same archetype, your deck can almost never be better.
All right, last player.
All right, well, here we go. Rounding things out, Johan, pack one, pick one, repeating barrage. Spicy card there. I really like it. Let's take a look at pick 2. Following things up with the Glorifier of Dust, so kind of still staying open at this point. Pick number 3. Let's take a look here. Tillinolly's Knight. All right, so maybe we're going in the red-white direction. Let's take a look at the final deck here for Johan. Red-white. Pretty aggressive. What do you think, Simon?
If I draft red-white in this format, I want to be one of the most aggressive decks I can be. Evasion, combat tricks, burn, which also give you this reach in the late game. You can see even the 5 and 6 drops are something that are not just held off by blockers. You really need removal or to win before these take over. I think looking just at the curve, this does look like a red-white deck that I would be happy to play.
All right, this deck did finish 2-1.
I like the cobbled wings in this deck a lot, by the way, with those, to get those frenzied raptors up and over.
We see a lot of main deck cobbled wings.
Yeah, I really like it in this deck in particular.
Now that was our feature pod, but I can tell you that because of course all the limited results are in, we now know the identity of every 6-0 drafter in the room. We have Zil Yao of China, Elias Watsfeld of Sweden, Owen Turtenwald of the United States, Francis Guillaume Matignon, Brian Hones, and Mr. 76%, Yuki Matsumoto,
Wow.
6-0'd draft. Outstanding stuff. And that was us going around the table.